Today is Thursday, October 20th in the year 2022. Do we have any public comments, Karen?
No, we do not.
Okay, then I'd like to make one. Um, as we all know, the price of food and the price of heating oil has skyrocketed. Heating oil is climbing towards $6 a gallon, and there's a shortage. I've talked to people, and they say down in New Haven they've been without oil for a couple of days. So it's getting scary. But the reason I'm making this comment is for those people watching, our Human Services Department, whether you know it or not, has a food and fuel fund. And also they have some other great programs. I think they used to, I don't know if they still do, but it's an adopt a family program where you can send a food basket at Christmas or Thanksgiving. So what I want to say is be aware of this. I think there is need in Woodbridge, and if you can, contact the Human Services and donate to this fund, because at $6 a gallon, it doesn't take much to go through $1,000. So I know I plan to, and it's going to be a tough winter. The phrase out there is heat or eat, and I hope that doesn't come to pass. But so for anybody listening and anybody who's interested, the Woodbridge Human Services Department has great programs, and you should contact them and see what you can do. And please help any way you can. I just wanted to say that. And if need be, if it really gets desperate, I don't know, Tony, is there any way the town can do anything if the Board of Selectmen make a recommendation or something?
Certainly, you could certainly contribute to it as a town. We've done that before.
There was a time we did. I think
we did. We put it in the budget a few years and in the Human Services budget to contribute towards the fund.
Yeah. So if it comes to that,
town employees do a basket. I know every year.
Okay.
We donate, and I know Santa and Mrs. Claus had a lot of kids last year.
Okay.
And I think we'll continue to keep those families in mind. We take care.
Usually the road race donates money too.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be a tough winter, I think. So yeah, so that's what I wanted to say. Hopefully, people are listening and they'll.
It's very nice.
Be aware of that. So, I guess should we do election, Karen, without Susan here? I guess we can, right? We can't keep putting it off. All right. So, election of chairman and vice chairman. Would anybody like to make a motion to nominate a chairman?
I would like to nominate Matt Giglietti. I think he's had a lot of experience.
I think so.
So I would nominate Matt.
I'll second it.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? Okay, hearing none, I will close nominations and call a vote. All those in favor of Matt Giglietti for chairman?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. I'll keep my hand down for now. Can we, I was going to nominate Susan. Can we do it in her absence? I'm sure she's been doing it right along. So I'm going to do it. If she doesn't, we can, I'm sure she will. So I'd like to make a motion that we appoint or nominate Susan Jacobs as a vice chairman of the Board of Finance.
I'll second that.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? Okay. I will close nominations, and all those in favor of Susan, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, good. We'll inform Susan when she's. Okay. Next is Tony, Administrative Officer report.
Okay. Thank you. I have the report here for the first quarter of the fiscal year, and that leaves us with a surplus of $284,000 at the end of the year. Admittedly, early in the process, but a couple of items to bring to your attention. Really, two major items. The first two that have a financial impact. The third is where it's undecided. But anyway, the first is interest income, which is positive news because of rising rates. This is a conservative estimate of a surplus of $150,000. This is where we're going to see some big surpluses this year.
It's been a long time since we had this, right?
Forever. It's been since probably 08 maybe.
Right. Years.
07, 08.
Yeah.
And so just to give you a little framework, last year at this time, the interest rate was that we were getting on most of our funds was 0.1%. Currently, it's about 2.25%.
Wow.
And when we did the budget, it was about 0.8. Interestingly enough, in a rising interest rate environment, there's other investments like CDs and things that actually start to become more attractive.
Yeah.
So we're looking into that also. I'll have more to come on that. So that's the first item. That's the good news.
That should probably go up anyway.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will. Yeah,
He's raising rates again, so.
I'm sure it will. I'm sure it
Yeah.
will.
Yeah.
Another good part about that is, well, with rising interest rates comes rising bond prices, bonded debt. Now, the good thing is during the low interest rate environment we've had for the past many years, we did a school, a public works facility, and other items so that at least we've done a lot of building in that low rate environment. So I know we have other things, but I think that's good. So that's the first thing. The second was because of the failed Amity vote, the two votes. As you know, we created a budget based on their original budget, their original adopted budget. So because the eventual budget that passed was less than what we adopted on our budget, there's a surplus there of $134,000 in our budget that we will not be giving to them because it was, their budget was less than we had put in our budget. So those are the two items that create most of the surplus. The other thing to be aware of is natural gas. So we had natural gas. We're locked into natural gas. We locked into oil last December. So for the fiscal year, we're locked into heating oil.
So who uses heating oil now, Tony? I thought we were all gas.
Not us, but the consortium. It's for
okay.
other towns in the consortium. We locked into natural gas. I mean, regular gas. We locked into diesel, and we locked into heating oil. Heating oil is used by Bethany, a couple other towns in the consortium that we have.
Oh, okay.
The town doesn't use any. We use a little bit at the Darling House. That's about it. But natural gas we had locked into this month, and we were paying $6.63, I think it was, per decatherm. So after many months of discussion and review, we came to the selectmen a few times on that. We locked in, and we wound up locking in about $15. Actually, came in a little less, and so that's a lock-in rate for 30 months. So right now, the mark, if you float with the gas company, it's about $12. So it's we'll see. As our gas consultant said to us, if you're in Europe, you're paying hundreds of dollars a decatherm. So it could go up in price significantly. So anyway, we locked in for 30 months. We felt it was a prudent thing to do. So that could have a little bit of an impact on our budget this year, depending on how cold the winter is.
I think it took us 3 Board of Selectmen meetings
Right.
because we just kept hoping it would come down, and it didn't, and it was pretty flat, but we were very concerned. And at this point, it seemed like let's do it because we don't know. And at least we now locked into the point where we can plan our budget.
Correct. Now we can plan our budget. Right.
Okay.
So those are the items for the budget so far.
Okay. Any questions on this for Tony? All righty. Status of the audit, Tony?
The audit is, they finished today, was their last day of field work. So they're putting together the financial statements, the fund statements rather. And a draft should be available by probably mid-September. One interesting thing of note that's delaying a lot of municipalities is we have to start to account for and book a liability for leases. So if we have leases for like operating leases for like copiers and postage machines and there's a couple of the Board of Ed. So some towns have a lot of leases, and so that's really causing a lot of problems for a lot of towns. But I think we're in good shape.
Okay. Approval of budget meeting dates. We have a page here with all the dates. Of course, they're not cast in stone, but we've got to approve them to start with. And again, the big dates are the budget meetings, which are Tuesday, January 24th, Thursday, January 26th, Tuesday, January 31st, and if necessary, February 2nd, which usually isn't necessary. The next one I will mentioned for Board of Finance is March 2nd, which is when we meet to decide on the recommendations for the preliminary budget hearing, and then, of course, the preliminary budget meeting, which is April 24th, and the town meeting, which is May 15th. So I will make a motion that we approve the proposed budget meeting dates for fiscal year 24 as presented.
Second.
Any comments? Again, these are, if there's a problem with weather or something, they're going to be rescheduled, so. Anything else? Okay, all those in favor, aye. Tom, Ellen,
Aye.
Donovan, Dwight, okay, good. Woodbridge Board of Education financial report, do you want to talk about that later, Tom, or,
Yeah, I can talk about it later.
all right? Again, we have to talk about liaisons too, because that's something we're gonna have to, because I guess the Board of Selectmen stopped doing it, so we gotta talk about what we want to do. So, with that as funding requests, and the first one is a line item transfer, 2223-08, and it's in the amount of 8,250 for a traffic peer review study for Woodbridge Residential Village. Fees paid by the applicant will fund the study. So as you can see, it's a transfer. This is the new Toll Brothers project. Is that what this is?
That's correct.
Okay. So they're going to do a traffic study. Okay. Any comments on this? No?
Yeah,
Is the traffic study in a particular location or?
they look at the traffic impact in the area where the development is going and how it impacts the immediate area, correct? It's a requirement of the application process. So it's a traffic study that we require, but our regulations say that the person who's applying or the entity applying has to pay for it.
Got it. Okay.
This
Well,
is
they already did their own study and then.
Right, correct. This is correct.
This
Dwight's
is a
correct.
double check on theirs.
Right, correct.
Bradley Litchfield area,
Mhm.
Right.
the over 55. Sorry.
Okay.
Ellen's got a question, but I think you're on mute.
Yeah.
Yeah. What does peer review mean?
They're reviewing like Dwight said, there's another study that was done.
So they're reviewing the study that was done.
Right.
And I do peer review in my office. They review my work, so I'm
So they'll
assuming.
review that study and come out with
Yeah.
their own,
guessing.
analysis.
I'm guessing.
Sorry, I missed that. Yep.
Anything else? Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Wait, Ellen, Donovan, Tom. Okay, good.
Did we make the motion?
Did I? Karen?
You made the motion, we need a second on it.
Oh, okay, who's second? Tom? Okay.
Yeah, I'll second it.
All right, next is, request for funding. This is coming out of our contingency for, $5,980, and it's to, repair the generator located at 1990 Litchfield Turnpike that services the radio system. There's a memo in here from, Chief Rowland. So I will move acceptance of request for funding $5,980 in the amount of, request for funding 222309 in the amount of 5980.
Second.
Okay, Ellen seconds. Anything we need to specifically? I know I happened to watch the
Yeah.
Fire Commission meeting, and I watched the Board of Selectmen too. So
Yeah.
Now, where's 1990 Litchfield Turnpike? What is that?
It's one of the radio tower site up on.
Oh, okay, it's at the radio
The
site. Okay,
AT&T site, yeah,
Yeah, I guess it's a safety matter, obviously. So
correct, yeah. And it's so early in the year, it's, and they're, not sure if he can cover that in his budget, so that's why this is
yes.
here.
Yeah, sometimes we say just pay it and then we'll cover you at the end of the year, but we could do
I would
this.
fund this one, yeah.
Yeah, we could do this. Anything else? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, good. Next is, give us a bill here. Next is request for funding 222310 in the amount of $8,875. And it's for funds requested for additional scope of work for place-making planning study by Peary Associates for the Woodbridge 2030 Committee. Let's see, all right, I'm gonna move acceptance of request for funding 2223-10 in the amount of 8875.
Second.
Okay, can somebody run through this? What exactly
If
this
Susan
is?
was here, she would be able to explain it also,
Oh,
but
okay.
crack at it. So, the 2030 committee, is working with, Perry Associates to do a placemaking study for the business district. One of the goals of the study is to, come up with suggestions on how to grow the grand list, how to grow the business district, and also to give some suggestions on how to use some of the ARP money to help with that. So, the part of the original scope of work was to do a presentation and a sort of an outreach to the public and to the residents of the area and the businesses of the area. That was done last month. So that was in September, right? And it was the same day as the Board of Finance meeting, so I'm not sure if many of you went, but it was a huge success. And so the committee, along with the vendor, think a second one would be very beneficial because of the success of the first one. So that's what this is for.
Can I ask probably a stupid question? What is a placemaking design?
So it's to placemaking is to create like a space where people want to go, or it's up to a place where people, it's like a destination.
A
right?
destination, okay.
Yeah, so it's to come with like come with suggestions on how to make the either more attractive with infrastructure or design elements.
Okay. I knew you had a good answer. I just didn't know what it was.
So combined with that study is also a grant we received for an engineering firm to come up with actual suggestions on infrastructure improvements, whether it be sidewalks or stuff like that. So the two of them are combined to hopefully come up with solid suggestions, not only for the ARP money, but for other infrastructure grants that are coming down from the federal government through to the states and to the local governments.
Tony, will that include some looking at the roads and traffic patterns as well in terms of?
I believe they're looking at roads, definitely sidewalks. I'm not sure about traffic patterns, but I know they're looking at the roads and infrastructure there and where things can be improved.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Okay, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Donna, okay, good, thank you. And finally, I believe. I saw this on the, I think the Board of Selectmen meeting. This is a line item transfer, 222311, in the amount of $22,553 to purchase police body and in-car dash cameras. And I'll make a motion that we approve line item transfer 2223-11 in the amount of $22,553.
So I just want to I want to make a comment on this.
Let me just get a second.
Yeah, okay.
Second.
Okay. Go ahead, Tom.
So this is the first of a 5-year plan on this body camera replacement. And so there would be a 5-year plan associated with this. And the idea is that the first year buys the body cameras and some of the in-car cameras, and then you have that comes with a year. Then you have like it's not only body cameras, in-car cameras, but there's the ability to the way the information is saved and stored. There's like licensing fees and ongoing fees with the way we do it now is sort of old technology where you have to save it on a server, and there's a lot of that. So the new way is it's uploaded like to a cloud-based system, and you can give prosecutors and others access to certain camera footage, and it's more secure and it's backed up, and it's the resolution is a lot better because I think our in-car cameras are quite old. I want to say they're at least 6-8 years old. So the resolution on the car ones in particular is not very good. So,
So is this
I-
gonna be every year for 5 years?
well, so yes, it's for each year for 5 years, and then there's like, they replace cameras after 3 years. I think there's like a replacement for each camera after after the third year.
The police commission had a special meeting to talk about this, and one of the commissioners made a good point that our police department needs these updates now because they were early in adopting the
Correct.
system. So this is really kudos to them that they've been doing it, and now they need the updates.
Definitely.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Donovan. Okay, good. Thank you. So with that, let's see. I can't believe I'm seeing things this far away. Yes. Our contingency fund, which started at 150, we've only spent around 14 change. So we still have 135,000, which is always our goal, to try not to, we spend it if we have to, but hopefully we have some left for the end of the year. So we're in good shape there. All right, next is approval of minutes. These are the minutes of our September 15th, 2022. It says 022, but we're okay with that. 2022 meeting. I'll move acceptance of the minutes of September 15th, 2022 as presented.
Second.
Okay, any comments on this? Corrections, anything? No? Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Donovan? Tom, you were abstaining?
Yes, because I wasn't there.
Owen, you were there?
I'm abstaining too. I wasn't
Okay, you
there.
were there. Okay, good. All right. All righty. Budget guidelines, Tony.
So every year we have just a discussion on budget guidelines. Are there any guidelines that this board would like to give to departments in terms of what before they prepare their budget? Just as an aside on the budget process itself, this year we're using a new online budget tool, which is essentially, instead of using old spreadsheets and other programs and sort of some way to put a budget together, we're using an online package which departments would enter their budgets in directly online, and then you could have the choice of viewing the budgets online, or we can find some other way to get some PDF versions to you. It's sort of a new more it provides a lot more information and a lot more transparent way of reviewing the budget. So I'd mention it.
I think pretty much what we've always said in the past, Tony, give us your realistic budget, but keeping in mind that we'd like to keep it under we always ask them, tell us what you need, and then we'll go from there. I don't know. Does anybody have an idea on this?
Well, last year, didn't we ask for a reduction? If they had to reduce
Yeah.
what effect would that have and everything else?
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to do that again this year.
Okay. What do you think, Tom? You want to, I mean, they come to you, obviously. You know what we're looking at here.
Yeah, I think the first thing is new positions, new programs. Do we want to hold off on new programs? Do you want to hold off on any new positions? That's really the first sort of question you have to ask yourself. Or do we? I mean, for the most part, our departments do a good job of submitting their
Exactly.
what their needs are versus what their wants are. But if they do have some of the new programs, they'd have to make sure they explain it.
Yeah, that's right. That would be the guideline. Just give us your best budget, and obviously we go through it and decide whether
Right.
we're in agreement or not. So
Yeah, I'm okay with that. That's
And
fine.
I hate to throw a percentage out there.
I don't
keep
either.
service levels. Keep service levels at the same
Right.
at the same
Important
rate.
thing is right. Important thing is that we service our citizens properly.
Okay.
Do
I
as
think
they've
it's-
been doing in the past.
I always find it helpful when they tell us what are the things that they don't really control. That, which are increases that are by contract, or that so we see where there's any discretion as we look at it, and they generally do that. As Matt said and you said, Tony, that I think we get pretty responsible budgets. So
Okay.
that's good.
And I think last year, didn't we sort of warned about our problems with the grand list. I don't think anything's changed, so I'm assuming they'll just do what they always do.
Hmm. Okay,
Alrighty,
all right.
all right, first selectman's report.
Thank you,
Beth.
Matt. Look out the window of Town Hall. Look at that beautiful sunset.
Yeah,
It's so nice. Thank you. I have some good news. The Board of Selectmen met in person last week for our regular meeting for the first time since March of 2020. We have 6 ongoing projects, which I reported on, and you can view my updates on YouTube or Channel 79. We have the Community and Cultural Center, which is the old firehouse, the center building renovation, senior center renovation, feature school capital projects, including the pool and security, HVAC system in the center gym, and restroom upgrades, and the town center sidewalk project. Most all of them, I think, so far that we've gotten funded have used state funds. And we'll be looking to do the Beecher School capital project with some outside funding, as well as the center building renovation, which is going to be a big one. The board had a presentation from an engineering firm regarding items that are necessary to bring the Beecher Pool up to code. Several of these are quite costly. I think the total cost was a little under $900,000, if I have that right.
It's correct, yep.
Yeah, so I felt I had to tell you. I'm sorry about bad news, but so the Board of Selectmen agreed to forward this report to the Beecher Capital Projects Committee for review and possible recommendations to our board and both of our boards. So I'll keep you updated on that. In a recent edition of the Woodbridge Town News, there was commentary stating that I, as first selectman, did not intend to support the upcoming year's Amity budget. I did support passage of the current year's budget, and I take this opportunity, as it will take others, to state unequivocally that I never made such a comment regarding next year's budget. I can't imagine a situation where I would decide my vote on a budget I hadn't seen yet, and in this case, a budget that, as far as I know, has not yet been prepared. I remain committed that our board, as well as you and the Board of Finance, are fully briefed on the facts, and I will keep you informed. Several months ago, Tony and I met with a clinical stage nonprofit biotechnology company called Cure Rare Disease, letting us know they were interested in moving to Woodbridge. We met with them and we didn't hear from them for months. And then we encouraged them to come to Woodbridge. Cure Rare Disease develops therapeutics for rare and ultra rare neuromuscular diseases like muscular dystrophy, Duchenne, as well as Becker. I'm so pleased that they've announced they've acquired their first laboratory space in Woodbridge, and they're going to relocate their Boston headquarters to the 30,000 square foot facility at 4 Research Drive and expand research and development operations. The company also plans to lease the other 15,000 to other life science and healthcare firms. It's great news indeed as we continue to grow our grand list. So there's one little step. The town has responded to a request to show support for the Bristol Police Department after Sergeant Dustin DiMonte and Officer Alex Hamdy were shot and killed in the line of duty last week. And a blue light will shine and was installed and will shine outside Woodbridge Town Hall through Friday, October 21st, when funeral for both services for both officers will be held in East Hartford. Lastly, I remind everyone to remember to vote on Tuesday, November 8th. In-person voting will be held in the center gym from 6 to 8. And if anyone out in TV land needs an absentee ballot, you can call the town clerk's office or the registrar's of voters office. Look at that sunset. The colors have changed since I've been sitting. I'm riffing on my report, Karen. Okay, give her a copy ahead of time. Okay, that's it. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask.
if you could just, before we get to item 8, if you could just tell us what the Board of Selectmen are doing as far as liaison is concerned.
Right. We have assigned liaisons, but they do not have to go to the meetings every month and report back to the board. If we've asked them to be in touch with the department chairs or commission chairs, depending on what it is that they attend, and come back to the board if there's anything interesting they need to tell us about. Continue to liaise, if that's a verb, but not have a monthly report. And we were asking for quarterly reports from the department heads and commissions. We've received a few of them in our packets, and we just passed them out. So if
Okay.
there's still a liaison job, it's just that you don't have to attend, or you're welcome to attend. I feel some of the board of selectmen have agreed, have continued to attend meetings and give us updates, written updates. So it's just that we don't do it in, it's totally public because it's all as part of the packet. It's just that we don't do it as part of our reports anymore.
So with that, I'll open it up for discussion. What do we want to do on the Board of Finance? Anybody have a thought, comment?
Well, I have one, I don't know, it's a thought and a comment. I know from when I was first selectman that the role of liaison was, it wasn't clear. There was huge differences, and what happens sometimes, and I think happens now sometimes, is that the person from the Board of Selectmen or Board of Finance, I don't really know about Board of Finance, but certainly on Board of Selectmen, acted as if they were a member of that board or commission, which which really kind of distorts the work of that board or commission. So I guess what I would say is, and it might be different for Board of Finance. I mean, I've been the Police Commission liaison, and I just basically listen if there's something related to finance. I don't really, they don't ask me for anything. And I generally find that whatever I pick up about finance, Tony already knows and knows more about it. Um, but uh, I think the idea of what the Board of Selectmen has done, where the other boards and commissions know who their connecting person is, so they know if there's something coming up or some particular question. I think that's a good idea. I guess what this will connect to also. It may be different for the boards of education. I know Tom gives us such full reports. That's very different, and I'm sure we'll be talking about the Amity Board of Finance. So that's the little bit that I have.
Yeah, earlier, prior to doing this, I reminded the board, I defined what the role of a liaison was. As Ellen said, you liaise and you don't really participate. And there was a lot more participation on some of the members of the board of selectmen. In spite of that, I just tried to define the role. And obviously, liaisons do not attend executive session unless they're, no one should go to an executive session of any board or commission unless they are a member of that board or invited in because they have something to add to that, whatever's being discussed. And that was another reason why I just said we just need to pull this back a little bit. It was not, I didn't need 2 pages of what happened at a meeting. If I needed to know that, we could find out from reading the minutes. So it was a little bit to kind of curtail some of the time of the Board of Selectmen as well.
So does anybody think that maybe it would be okay to, if you wanted, if you enjoy going to your liaison, you could continue to, and we could still have an item on the agenda if a report needs to be. We should probably have, even if you don't go, you might hear something and you might want to report it. So I'm up to, if you want to go to a meeting and report back, or what if they request having somebody from the Board of Finance at their meeting for something? I don't know. It's certainly workable that we could just continue with, if you want to go, if you don't want to go, you don't go. And does that sound logical to anybody?
I guess the only thing I wonder about is, given that we're on the Board of Finance and at least during the budget process,
Yeah.
certainly the Board of Ed, I think they find it helpful to have, some input onto what we're thinking about. And also they often ask me, some ask me, what do you think is going to be the reaction on the Board of Finance if we do X? And I, of course, say I can't speak for the board, but here's my thoughts on it. So I would like to continue on the, liaison with the Board of Finance, and I will continue to go to as many meetings as I can because I just think it's important to keep an eye on it. So I guess my question for the group is whether, at least during the budget process, liaisons, may want to go to those meetings or should be asked to go to those meetings so that we have some insight into what's being thought about. That's my only thought.
Yes, I think we should leave it open, and yeah, if somebody wants to, you know, like you said, during budget time, it's probably a good idea. And we can still keep this on the agenda, and if somebody has a report that's of interest to the Board of Finance, they can give the report instead of knocking it out entirely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else? Well, I'll just give you a little bad news, unfortunately. Amity, of course, October 1st, they do the average daily membership, which is the enrollment by town. And this establishes the amount that each town is going to have to come up with. And as of October 1st, 2022, Bethany went from 369 to 363. Orange went from 1091 to 1017, a big drop. And Woodbridge went from 706 to 700. So overall, we dropped 86 students in Amity, 2166 to 2080. Now, the impact of this, unfortunately, is not good. I'll just talk about us. We will, based on the budget that we're currently operating under, if that budget were to remain the same, we would have to come up with an additional $534,846, which translates into $182 per household to cover. Orange gets a $750,000 drop. So I asked some questions with some people and to find out what happened in Orange. And I guess it appears as though Orange, a lot of people are pulling their kids out of Amity, which is the reason for the drop. And I was told that 20% of the Orange class of 2026 left after the eighth grade, 20%. So it looks like the people of Orange are pulling their kids out of Amity in a far greater numbers than Woodbridge or Bethany is. So, and with that, of course, Orange saves a fortune, and we're going to pay a lot more. So it's unfortunate, but that's the way it works. It's called the average daily membership, and that's the news that we're facing. So, and this is real. I mean, it's once it's established on October 1st, that's it. So we will be paying at least $534,000 more next year. And if the budget goes up, it'll be that much more. So I just thought I always report on this, and I dug it out and found it from somebody. So that's the news.
So Matt, just, I'm clear about this.
Yeah.
This is the census today, and we make up the money that we actually owe for this school year in the next budget?
No, this is the numbers that'll be used to allocate the 23-24 budget.
Uh-huh.
Now, when they come in back and down in February, March, April with their budget, our share is going to be based on these numbers. So, which is, for example, we went from 32.6% to 33.7%. So we went up 1.1%. And on a $50 million budget, as you know, 1.1% is $550,000 roughly. So
yeah,
that's what this is about. I always report that it's a big thing for all the towns. So does anybody else have anything they'd want to talk to about anything they did? Did they go to any liaisons or anything? If anybody wants to say anything.
I'll just say the Beecher. I went to the Beecher Board of Finance meeting. As Tony, as in the numbers, you can see that there's a little bit of a surplus again. They think it's mostly due to some open positions and some replacements that came in a little, salaries and benefits were a little under. Again, the interesting thing about Beecher, and unlike Amity, is that they're expecting enrollment continues to grow, and they presented some numbers that looks like some significant growth over the next several years. At the board, at the finance committee, they were talking about if these numbers actually pan out, they may need as many as 6 new classrooms.
Oh,
we know that's going to be a problem, but just to keep it in mind that if those numbers are real, at some point they're going to be coming and looking to, to figure out how to deal with that enrollment. And then, who knows how long that will last. And the numbers that they presented, which were, I think if I recorded it correctly, the numbers would continue to grow until the 29-30 year. And then in 30-31 start dropping off, if I recorded these numbers correctly. So, there's always some fluctuation, but it is interesting that unlike Amity and unlike Bethany and in Orange, elementary school kids in Woodbridge are growing. I think last year we were one of the few towns in the state that had an increased population of elementary school kids. So again, just something for us to keep in mind going forward.
Tom, do you know where they stand with the superintendent search?
I think they're still, they're still in the process of it. Hopefully, I think all of us were asked to either go in person and meet with the selection, consultant. I did it online because I was going to be away. They're, still looking for, still in that process. I don't know if it was mentioned. I think that I don't know if it was mentioned last week. I didn't see anything in our minutes, but it looks like the teachers have ratified the contract. I don't know what the numbers are. So at least we're not going to arbitration on that. So that's where they're at. I don't know. At that meeting, there was no, the acting superintendent is planning on doing the budget. So then they don't think they're going to get a superintendent in time for the budget process, at least the early part of that, based on what was talked about.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments?
Matt,
Yeah.
Are we going to talk a little bit about the Amity Board of Finance, separate
Oh.
from?
Well, as you all know, I resigned from the Amity Finance Committee, and I don't know where we're going. If anybody is interested in taking my spot, and it's just let somebody know. But right now there's an opening, obviously. So if you want to think about it, it's pretty time consuming. As I said, I've been doing it since its inception in 2002. So I did it for 20 years, and during that time, Bethany and Orange, they had at least 3 or 4 replacements each, and but I stayed on because I just was interested in keeping the relationship open. And needless to say, I was thinking of packing it in anyway, but the thing with the surplus just pushed me along on that. So again, I guess we do need a replacement. If you want to think about it, you want to call me and talk to me, I'll be happy to tell you what's involved. So it's pretty time consuming though.
So Matt, are you still? I mean, to the extent we have liaisons, you're still the liaison to Amity, but
No,
not to be on the Board of Finance.
I'm not. The only thing I was never a liaison on the Amity. I was on the Amity Finance Committee, and
Oh, I see.
yeah, which basically, yeah, it's not a liaison. I'm a member. I was a member, so but it was also a liaison situation. So we'll see.
So, speaking about the surplus, I've read a few things, and people are talking about them, about some change, about how Amity deals with its surplus. And I'd like to take the opportunity to say I think there is some confusion and mixing of issues. And it's important that to the extent we understand them, here on our board, we are clear about them. And I know I hear frequently that there are concerns about the amount of Amity surplus from year to year and the discretionary use of that surplus that Amity does in accordance with law, but there are concerns and questions about it. And I think those are still on the table. But recently there was a change in process at with how Amity deals with unspent funds. And that change in process was caused by a recognition that the law requires Amity to roll over its unspent funds into the next year. So that change of process, first of all, it does not change what comes back to the towns. There was no vote not to return the unspent funds to the town nor a decision. It will come back to the town. So that's not really a difference. The difference is that unspent funds have to stay in the Amity budget. And that's probably a good thing because that's the amount that taxpayers paid. So I just think we should be on the record, at least that's how I understand it. I did look at the lawyer's opinion, and I think it's pretty clear that Amity is now in a position and is planning to follow the letter of the law. So that's good. As to the Amity liaison, so the Amity, I looked at the bylaws, the Amity Finance Committee is now made up of 3 members of the Amity Board of Ed and a representative of each of the towns. And so I know there's also been talk like, should the town representatives even continue? But I think at this point, it's in their bylaws. And if it does continue, at least my view is it would be great if Woodbridge had representation. I understand that 20 years is enough. You've done much more than the other towns, and people, as you said, they've been rotating through. But I think it would be good for us to have someone. And if I might say, I would encourage Donovan to consider it because, like you, Matt, he's an accountant. He's younger than the rest of us.
Good looking.
But I don't think he should. I mean, obviously, he's going to talk to you, see what's involved. But I think it behooves us to have someone there if that process is ongoing.
Okay, well, Donovan, if you want to give me a holler, we can talk.
Okay, Matt, I'll give you.
He's on a lot of stuff, though. Every time I turn the TV on, he's there. I don't know, he's on more boards and commissions. He's there again. I said, holy cow, what is this guy not on? You're on the housing thing. I see you all the time on there. So, yeah, we'll have a chat.
You know, Matt, younger people can do a lot more than we can.
Yeah, I'm an old guy. I'm an old guy here. So, okay, thank you all. I think that's it. And I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. We'll see you before Thanksgiving, I guess. So have a good October. Go Yankees.